Welcome to Lydia Nicole's Acting Smarter Now podcast. I'm so happy to have you. If you're an actor and you are looking to transform your career, you have come to the right place. Today, my first question is, how can actors help themselves during this strike?
That's a great question. First and foremost, I think that keeping themselves busy outside of the profession of acting is probably the best way to just mentally make it through this. So that could even be training or educating, writing your own sketch comedy, stand up, things that maybe don't rely on a yes person, somebody that's gonna say you got the job, you got the call back. I'm a big advocate of actors kind of creating their own luck and taking the power and putting it in their own hands. Everybody has a camera, everybody has a pen and paper. They can all write, they can all film things with their friends on the weekends. They can all go to a show at Groundlings. They could take a class at an improv school or take an acting coach. But I think it's really just not waiting for any sort of phone call from anybody, whether we're in a strike or not. Um, and just kind of creating a life and living a life outside of that sort of I don't like to use the word desperation, but just like constantly waiting for somebody to give you an opportunity, and really just try to create your own opportunities and live your own life. I think that goes for any profession that you may be in that might be under a circumstance like we find ourselves in with the strike. Just doing things outside of the business, or if it is in the business, doing things that are in your own control and kind of staying out of what you can't control.
Amen. You are from my tribe, Chris. So it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to you a magnificent agent. And I say this from my heart, having had so many agents over the years, over 40 some years. I have seen to the side from my daughter how wonderful he is with his clients. And if you are one of the lucky ones who get to call Chris Tavedra your agent at the Saint Agency, you are blessed beyond blessings. That's all I have to say, because he not only is a great agent, but he's a wonderful human being who not only is a cheerleader for his people, but he is like a champion. He's like the father figure. He's the one rooting for you and wanting you to win. And I can't say that about a lot of people in this industry. You get an agent, you never have a relationship with them. You don't know what's going on. You're waiting on them to call you. They never call you. You don't call them. It's a very toxic relationship. And so when you have an agent like Chris, who is in the trenches with you, recently, I just want to side note, recently he took his clients, offered all of his clients to come march on the picket lines for the SAG strike. I've never in all my years in Hollywood had an agent, a manager, a representative say to me, hey, let's go picket. And I was here for the 1980 strike. So I know how um, you're like a unicorn, Chris. I just want to say that in this business, you are like a unicorn. So, without further ado, I want to ask you, what got you into being an agent?
Well, thank you. That was a very kind and generous intro. I really appreciate that, and just thank you very much.
But it was accurate. But
Well,
it was accurate.
I appreciate. That's very, very nice of you. Thank you. What got me into being an agent really was kind of a bright light moment when I was at a 9 to 5 job, that I kind of played the tape out and I zoomed out and I thought, is this what I want to be? Um, is this where I see myself in 10 years? Is this a career? Is this just a day job? Um, and I really was like, you know what, this isn't what I want to be doing in 10 years. So this was back when, in 2010, um, I really kind of had this moment where I got, I was talking to a friend who was a professional photographer at the time, or still is, great photographer. And he said, I was explaining kind of my frustrations with my current situation at a 9 to 5. And, I was like, I love entertainment. I don't know how to even break into this thing. And I used to be a child actor, but I wasn't very good. So I knew I didn't want to be an actor again. But I was like, still very interested in the business. He said, you know what, it's not necessarily directly maybe in what you want to be doing, but I have contacts over at Ford Models in Los Angeles. Maybe I can get you an interview for an internship. Um, I was like, dang, okay, work for free. But you know what? If you want to change your situation, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you are desperate to get out of a situation, you're going to have to be willing to do anything that you can. Um, I got the interview. I got the internship with Ford Models in LA. And that was really the beginning of everything. After, gosh, about 4 months of the internship, I expressed my interest to come on as an assistant. Unfortunately, they did not offer me the position. Uh, so I had to continue to work my 9 to 5 the whole time. And, uh, and that really, I put out about 30 emails minimum with my resume that had this new position of intern for 4 months at Ford Models. And thankfully, another agency answered that call and brought me in for an interview. And that was 2010.
That's amazing. And I just want to go back 1 second because you talked about being a child actor, but then you went to college to for journalism, and you had the notion that you might want to be like Ryan Seacrest, that you
Yeah,
might want to be a disc jockey,
I
um,
did. I
and
really,
so
yeah.
I love that because I came
You did
from
the homework.
radio. I actually came from radio. As a teenager, I worked at the number one radio station in New York from like 13 to 18. So I too learned the board of how,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yes, yes. I feel you on so many levels,
Wow.
Chris. But
Wow.
but the fact that you didn't give up, that
Yeah.
something inside of you wanted you to be in entertainment, it
Yeah.
just wasn't what you thought at the moment. Not that it
100%.
can't go back there, but
No, no, no.
but
No, I'm
that
not going back there.
but that desire was
Right.
still in you. So I just love that, and the fact that you found your niche in helping other creatives. And to add to that, your wife is a creative. Your wife is an actress and a marvelous singer. I had the opportunity of seeing her show in Hollywood
Yeah.
early in the year, and oh my God, what a voice!
Yeah, she's
So
quite a performer.
so the fact that you are such a cheerleader and an activist and just a you are like the person everybody wants in their corner.
Wow, thank you for saying so. I mean, that's what I get the most joy out of. It wasn't necessarily getting the joy from being all eyes on, being the talent. Although that's very cool, but I think obviously it's a different skill set. But I still get extreme joy for creating opportunity or being a champion for people that are better at that kind of thing than I was, and that really have the ambition to go forward towards their artistry. If I can just be one piece of the pie with that, which I am, I do not have all the power, I don't have all the answers, but if I can just be one arm of that, it's extremely gratifying. When I can see somebody on TV or a commercial or on a billboard or going viral online or something like that, just to know that, gosh, I'm helping them fulfill their dreams. And as a byproduct of that, I'm creating my own.
I want to talk about process because one of the things that you do that is unheard of for an agent, not so much for a manager, but for an agent, is that you hold town halls with your clients. You welcome all of your clients in, you support them, you give them pep talks, you tell them what they should be doing. Again, I have never heard of such a thing. Even with managers, I haven't heard, hey,
Yeah.
we're a family. Let's come together. Let's pull our resources. Let's do this. You should be taking classes. What in your psyche said to you, this is how I want to run my agency?
That's a good question. I think if you want different results, or extraordinary results, you have to do different things. And there's so many agencies in this town. We're primarily a commercial and print agency. These actors can get, one of 60 agents if they have the option. So, when we started this agency, I think it's just sort of in I I didn't consciously be like, I want to do it differently like this. It just sort of came about. What I noticed over the years is, look, it's inevitable. Actors are going to gossip. They're going to talk to their colleagues, their fellow actors, whether they're in set or if they're in an acting class or whatever it may be. And what do humans do? They're going to say, my agent's not doing this, or they're not here for me for this, or whatever. And I'm fully, aware of this. So
But
what
what they don't say, Chris, is I'm not there for my agent. I'm not showing up. I miss my auditions. I don't come on time. I
well,
don't prepare.
yeah,
I don't have pictures and resumes. I don't do what my agent told me to do. Just
amen,
saying. Just
amen.
saying. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, no.
Didn't
Look,
mean to cut you off
if you
there.
want to
Just
hold the next town hall, you're leading it. No, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to demystify kind of what we are doing. I wanted to I wanted to kind of take control of the narrative, because what's happening if we aren't having these town halls is that an actor is creating their own narrative of what I am doing or what I'm not doing. They're coming up with all these things to their these answers to maybe their questions. What I came up with is like, let them see my face, let them hear from me, and let's just completely open it up, and they can ask me anything. There's no curtain here. There's no mystery going on of what I'm trying to do. I want the actors to be fully. I want it just to be full transparency. And if I was a client at an agency, could you imagine? I would love for my agent to answer any of those questions that I'm scared to ask, or the things that I gossip with my fellow actors about that may be a frustrating thing. Like, let's open it up. Let's have a therapy session. Let's talk about it, because the more comfortability and transparency the actors have, I feel like it's going to make them more comfortable with their auditioning process and just sort of the journey, the artist's journey, and it's going to help them deal with everything better, thus giving them a better performance when they do get the audition. So it's only going to benefit us all. The more transparent I am, I don't want them to come up with any sort of I want them to get what they see, and what they hear from, and I want it to be directly from my mouth. I don't want them to be creating it.
I also love that your assistant is an actress.
Yeah, me too.
So I love that.
I think that was a big benefit. I interviewed many people to be an assistant, and she came along as a referral from another casting director, and she's a working actress, represented with other big agencies, and she just has a great perspective and a unique vantage point coming from her side of things, and then she gets to kind of give me little tidbits, which I'm open to any suggestions, and she also gets to think a little bit like an agent, so it really helps her career too.
One of the things that I love that I learned about you is that you're into the data.
I love
You're
it.
you're into knowing how many auditions your client went on, what they got callbacks, what they booked.
Yeah.
What's going on. Um, what got you interested in that? Because I think that's key for
Yeah.
any, not only agents but for actors.
I think, well, I've been doing this for years, but my assistant Joanna had come in and she did it for her own career, which I think all actors should be, should be charting all this stuff. like I want to know how many call, like what my percentage is over maybe 2 years time. Am I getting worse? Am I getting better? Am I staying the same? um, what things may I need to work on? What casting directors are calling me in? What casting directors aren't calling me in? I want to know all this about my talent. We represent about 130 people right now. And it just gives me a little bit of insight into what's working for people or what's not working for people. I think how I came into that, my brain just kind of works like that. I just like to see, I need to see something on paper and be able to really look at it like, oh, okay. For me too, for an agency, oh, this year we, our callback ratio was 12%. Let's go for 15 next year. My booking percentage was 10%. Let's see if we can get it to 15 next year. So it helps for me as an agency as well.
So let me ask you a question as we're talking about data, because I think this feeds into it. Is branding, actors branding themselves, knowing what it is that they sell, what their superpower is? Because I'm a believer that if you know what you sell, if you know what you nail, your percentage is going to be better in
Right.
booking work. Not that you are going to book everything, but at least you are right in the ballpark.
Right.
If they don't hire you, it's because it was something totally out of your control,
Yeah.
either height or weight, or there was some physicality that you had no control over
Yeah.
that caused you to not book that job.
Right.
But how big are you in talking to your clients about knowing what they sell?
That's a good question. Well, I think to your point of like the things out of your control, just for actors listening, if you've gone to the avail of a job, if a client actually wants to pin you for certain dates, that's really a booking without getting paid. Because at that point, it could be they're looking for someone. The client was like, let's go someone blue eyed instead of brown eyes, really. It wasn't anything that had to do with your acting. So, if you got to the avail process, that's a win. Um, but secondly, to me, it's kind of like the market tells us who you are. Um, I have such a big sample size that I'm able to kind of back up a little bit. I'm like, oh, this person goes out for this slam dunk. They're always going to get called in. I'm able to see that with people with it's interesting. I have a girl that goes out, if it's an automobile spot, she's getting called in. I have another guy, pharmaceutical, always called in. Another girl, banking, whatever, done. She's getting called in. Um, but we only get to see the trend after a while of auditioning and knowing that. Um, you know, I think it's actors really need to just kind of trust their gut and understand themselves to double down on like what their look may be, what the things they should be studying. Some people are just drama people. They're not UCB, groundlings, comedian. They're just not going out for those quirky things. But it's up to the actor to sort of have that self awareness. Okay, this is sort of my type. These are the headshots I'm going to go for. These are the sort of acting classes I'm going to enroll in. If it might be your own, content that you shoot, these are the things I'm going to shoot, and just double down on your strengths. But I think it takes a little bit of time for any actor to really find their way with that, because you need to audition to really kind of understand that, right? So it really takes some time. So patience is huge in this game.
And classes,
Yeah,
because while you're waiting for the auditions, the classes will help you define who you are.
100%.
You'll do a scene, or you'll go to a commercial workshop. You'll get to see yourself on camera. You'll get to see what looks good on you and what doesn't look good on you, because
Right.
I think one of the biggest faux pas that actors make is they think they could do everything,
Mm,
and then they get mad when they don't get hired for
right.
everything.
Oh my gosh,
it,
that's such a
it
good point.
it's not it and it has nothing to do with how talented you are. It has to do with what they're buying from you.
Right.
You
That's
know,
such a good
theater
point.
theater is different. You can do any part in theater, and not be penalized, and people will go see you. You can be a farm girl, or you can be a superpower, whatever you want. But when you are in front of a camera, they're hiring you based on your look,
Mm,
and then your talent shines
right.
through. But they're looking for something specific. And a lot of times, actors, because in acting class, they don't tell you that. In
Right.
acting class, it's like, oh, great scene. Okay,
Right.
you nailed it. You could do, but you're not going to be hired to do Shakespeare when
Right.
they want you to do a Coke commercial,
Right.
or they
It's
want you to
completely
do
different.
pizza.
It's complete. And the funny thing is that you mentioned theater. Those are some of the most difficult actors that I come across to specifically book commercially, because they could be the most. I have Harvard MFAs. They could be the most advanced technical actors, but sometimes it's a really subtle beat or an improv sort of direction that they're getting in a commercial, and it's just not translating for them. And it can be really frustrating, obviously, for the actors. It doesn't mean that they're not talented, um, but in that scenario, understand that that's really where your strength lies. Maybe I do need to take a commercial technique intro class, which could be super humbling to some people. But you know, like, so put your ego aside. Would you rather book something and make money from it, or just shoo it aside and say, I don't need to learn something new, you know?
And I think it's understanding that the actors have to understand that commercials are different from theatrical bookings.
Oh my gosh.
So different. I mean,
It's
it
completely
is
different.
about a beat in
Yeah.
commercials. It is about that funny moment. It
Right.
has nothing to do with how gifted you are. And
No.
so you have to be flexible there, if you want
Very
to do commercials. Because if you don't want to do
right.
commercials, leave it alone.
That's what I'm look, we're speaking to everybody listening. I'm speaking to commercial only. It's a very specific thing. Um, but it takes, you got to really take some direction, and there's just very specific beats and techniques that you need to learn, you know, something as simple as like an eye line, you know, or where is your subject looking at, you know. um, and I had just a quick example. I've represented a really great guy for about 4 years now, and he booked one commercial in 4 years. He's gone out probably. I've gotten him at least 100 auditions.
Wow.
Um, and he finally, I don't know if it was my direction or he heard it through someone else, he got into groundlings. And he's been at groundlings for a few months now. No joke, he's his last 4 auditions, he's got a call back, and he booked something within the last couple of months. I can't imagine that's a coincidence.
No, it's not.
He's a serious actor, right? All these things, good looking guy, but he got in there, he got uncomfortable, and he's flourishing with commercial work now. And just because you're flourishing or you're doing great in commercial world doesn't mean you're not going to be some great theatrical actor or on some TV show or in a feature film. It's not, you're not saying that at all. It just means you're good at something else as well.
You're expanding. You're
Right.
expanding your range, which
More
is
tools in the
important.
toolkit.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about relationship between agent and client, agent and actor, because that's probably the lowest thing for actors, is having a really good relationship with their agent.
Mm-hmm.
They have, everybody wants an agent. I need pictures and I need an
Yeah.
agent. But what does that mean?
It
And
doesn't mean anything if I'm not getting you auditions.
it's like, how do we establish a relationship? Because obviously you liked me, you brought me in, you signed me. Now how can I, as the client, get to start having a relationship with you?
Great question. It's the same way I get to having a relationship with a casting director. I don't. it has to be organic. Nothing can be forced. Even if we've gotten to the point where I'm like, look, I love you. I think you have a great look. I like your resume. I like your clips and your reels, and you're a good person. Let's give it a shot. So we've gotten to that point. But it takes time. Like, no great relationship or solid communicative relationship is going to happen overnight. um, I'm not going to just all of a sudden be on the phone with you every day. Um, I think it just happens with, if there's if there's something I need, we're going to be talking more. If I have everything that I need, we're not going to be talking as much. If you're getting some more auditions, well, then there's more of a reason for me to be in contact with you. I always kind of say it, a funny thing is uh, like I, I'm not like a manager, which a manager might be texting with their client every day, or they may go over your wardrobe for a big audition. That's not my job, really. An agent is, I'm going after job interviews essentially. Um, but I'm not going to just, kind of like pick up the phone and say, "Did you have a good week this week?" It's just really not how I operate. If we have business to do and there's things to communicate about, well, then we communicate, and that relationship slowly grows. The same thing with casting directors. If I don't have something that they want, meaning a client for their job, what do they need to talk to me about? You know what I mean? It's when I have the right clients that I've now submitted to the job. They like what I presented, and now I'm in contact with them again. And they're like, "We love Chris over at Saint. He has got great talent. He's very quick in email. He's communicative, picks up the phone, has a good eye." The more that happens, well, then now our relationship builds. It's like anything else. I have some casting directors that I've been working with for 13 years, and it's like wham bam. I know who they're going to call in already when I submit. I kind of I know what their rates are. I know what the usage is, the type of jobs they work on. But it just takes time, and the more reasons for us to be in touch, the better. And then we're going to continue to build. But that's kind of how things grow. I'm going to always, like I said, have the town halls. I'm going to be super transparent. I'm going to tell an actor the truth. I'm going to tell them if they're missing materials. I'm going to tell them if their headshots are outdated. Um, I'm going to let them know if they didn't have the greatest self tape. Um, I don't want to. I'm doing a disservice if I'm not speaking up with certain things. I'm only hindering an actor's growth if I'm just keeping my mouth shut. And so that's sort of like the back and forth between me and the clients. On their end, though, it's an open book. If I had an actress just 2 days ago shot me a quick email, "Hey Chris, can we chat for a minute?" I said, "Sure thing. Give me a call tomorrow at 11." We were on the phone for a half an hour. She said everything that she wanted to say, asked her questions. We spoke, and that's how things build too. So an actor can always reach out at all times, whether it be a phone call or an email, and we'll get to the bottom of whatever you're wondering. Most of the time is the question is, what more could I be doing to get auditions? What do you suggest? What things do you think I'm missing from my resume? You know, can I get a submission report? Um, it all comes down to the bottom line is, I don't think I'm getting enough auditions.
So with that, I would put in, as an actor, having you represent me, I'm going to show up and say, "Hey Chris, I'm getting ready to take some new pictures. Do you have anything that I should know before I take the pictures?" Would that be positive? If I come to you before I take the headshots and not
Absolutely.
spend thousands of dollars, and then you say none of these work,
Or
and
the
then I
photographer
get
is not right.
upset. Yes.
A lot of actors do this, and I always am like, why wouldn't you come to me first for a referral, a suggestion? Maybe you don't even need new headshots and you're gonna go spend $800. Just ask me first. Another thing that happens is they set up the session. They take the session. They didn't ask me what they thought I need, and then they choose the photos without me. And the next thing I know, I see them up on casting networks, like what they've chosen. I'm always curious. I'm like, I'm the one who's looking at your face 10 hours a day, and I'm submitting on all the projects. I see every single breakdown. Why wouldn't you want me to pick the photos that I think serve you the best? The actor's eye is not going to be my eye. It's always going to be different. Same thing, even with a manager. That's cool that you and your manager collaborated, but your manager is not the one submitting you on these commercial projects. Why wouldn't you guys at least ask me what my input was, instead of just kind of wasting your time and money before anything, just jumping the gun? So unfortunately, I think that's a little bit more of somebody that's a little more seasoned, and they've kind of been through, maybe they've had a couple agencies or managers before where they will say something. It might be someone who's a little bit greener that just kind of jumps in the fire. Oh, I didn't want to bother you. Or, I mean, that's my job.
I love what you just said, because again, it's not having a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in a relationship with you, why am I going to somebody else to figure out what I need
Right.
for the relationship? Let's talk it through,
Yeah.
and then see, do we need
Yeah.
counseling? Do we need
Yes.
counseling right
Right.
now?
Let's figure this out. Maybe we don't need
Yes.
counseling.
Yes. Maybe we're just not communicating.
Right.
So I love that. And you said something that I think is so crucial, that a lot of times actors will take on a manager, and the manager, who's, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but the manager's job is to facilitate the client with the agent to come together and say, let's work together on this. We both have the same goal. We want our client to work.
Right.
So why wouldn't we be a team?
Right.
I,
I agree. I
so
agree.
I think this is really good. One of the pet peeves that I have with actor friends of mine is they'll fight so hard to get a certain agent. Then they're with that agent. A year goes by, I go, I'm leaving them because nothing happened.
Mm.
I'm like, wait a minute. What did you do in the
Yeah.
year? What
Yeah.
did you do? Not the agent, because I keep hearing what the agent didn't do, but what didn't you do?
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to communicate, not to jump. And I think this is another problem. It's like wanting a relationship, right?
Yeah.
We all want that other person,
Yeah.
but we're not asking the questions before we get in relationship with the person, because you might be a great agent, but for somebody else, uh, it's not a love match.
Right. For sure. I think you bring up a good point too. It's like, on the actor's end, have they asked themselves and been truthful and honest with themselves? Have they done everything that they could in the relationship? This is before leaving an agent, like you said, after a year. And I don't know if somebody's not happy unless they tell me. I know what I I know what something looks like if it's a slow journey for them, as far as like auditioning and callbacks and things like that. I definitely know what that looks like from my end, but I take the initiative and I reach out before they even have time to, usually. Um, because I don't want anybody sitting around. I don't make money unless they book an audition, and they don't book the audition unless I got them the audition. So it's only in my best interest to do everything I can to get them out there. I don't want anybody sitting on my roster without auditions. But also, at the end of the day, I'm at the behest of the casting director. If they don't feel like the at 13 years, I'd like to think my submissions are being opened. Like I've met in person most of these casting directors. So if they don't feel like the actor is right for what, they're not going to give them the audition. They're not going to waste their time, my time, or the actor's time. So we also have to say, like, okay, well, they're just not seeing something from you. They're not going to give you the audition. It's out of my hands. It's sort of out of yours as well. Um, but I'm always super open with them. And I'm like, look, you know, if you think another agency can do more for you, feel free to leave. I don't enforce handwritten contracts here. I don't operate like that. Of course, I have them if an actor wants to put into a binding contract, but I don't want to string anybody along that does not want to be represented by us, or if they don't feel like we're doing a good job or not.
You said something, so I'm going to come back around it. You don't get paid if the actor doesn't get paid. Um, that's a given, I hope, for actors to understand that you, the agent, do not get paid unless they get paid. With that being said, if it's 10% or 20% that you get, it is the actor's job to do 80 or 90% of the work.
Oh, I don't think actors.
Well, I'm going to say it one more time. My dear friend and superhero Judy Kane
Oh,
always
I love
says,
Judy.
you know, your agent does 10% of the work. Your agent gets 10% of whatever you make, but it is up to you to do 90% of the work. You cannot expect an agent to be the god of all for you. You cannot expect the agent to read your mind when you don't communicate. You can't. Those expectations are so farcical that it is. How are you, Chris? What can I do to how can I better serve you as a client? Is there anything from me that you need? You know, I want to call you when I go on my audition. After I go, you know what, I don't feel like it went that great, but I showed up, I was on time, I did the copy, I did everything they asked, but I don't feel like I hit it out the park. And it goes back to what you said earlier, that that actors have to have a little bit self-awareness to know where, when they hit it out the park and when it was a miss, and to be honest with themselves, and also to give themselves permission to know you got an audition, celebrate that.
Yeah,
Because out of those auditions that you booked, hundreds of actors did not get the audition. So
thousands sometimes.
they didn't even get to come into the room.
Yeah.
You were able to come into the room. And with that being said, you have to take it seriously. If you are given an audition, show up and do your best. You know, don't
Yeah.
this is not what I want, so I'm not going to do this.
So what some actors don't necessarily understand is that I'm working for free until they've booked something. So I could represent an actor for a year. I submitted them on, let's say, 350 projects. I'm talking commercial and print. Let's say I got them 27 auditions in a year. They got 5 callbacks and they got 1 avail. So all the work that happens behind the scenes on casting networks, Casting Frontier, Actors Access, my personal notes on people, phone calls, text messages, emails to casting, that all was a net zero money for me. But they don't understand necessarily. They got all those things, but nothing was booked. But I didn't. I put in quite a bit of work, and I didn't make anything, which is fine. I know what we signed up for, and I understand the process. But I'll have actors say, "Can I have the submission report?" Like, I'm a little disappointed. I haven't booked anything. Well, I don't book the job. You do. If the casting director thought you were right, you got the audition. So you need to do everything you can to book it. But just because I got you 30 auditions, which is incredible, and you didn't book anything, well, should I be apologizing to you, or should you be saying thank you so much for submitting me at 11 at night for that job that was due for by 9 a.m. tomorrow, so I could get hopefully a self tape in. I think it just comes down to awareness uh, of actors and the communication,
And
obviously
actors taking responsibility.
taking some responsibility for
Yes,
their own stuff.
it is. What can I be doing for my career right now?
Yeah,
How can I show up? What can I give you? What tools can I give you that you need in order for you to be able to
Yeah.
have more success with me.
Yeah.
And understanding that an audition is a win. I think that's a big thing. Auditions are a win because I'm sure you probably have, because I hear it from the actor's point of view. It's like, I went on all these auditions and I didn't get one job. Well, that's nobody's fault. You got the audition.
Yeah, 100%. But maybe that should also maybe that should be a yellow flag to go take Judy's callback class, Judy Kane's, or get into Killian's, or Allison Horn and Ross Lacey's foundation class. Just something to freshen up your. Obviously, something's not happening or translating in the audition. Um, that might be a good indicator to try something different than to just go, God, I had 20 auditions, I didn't book anything. And the thing that contributes to an actor, just because you have an agent doesn't mean much. With social media nowadays, I feel like actors just compare and contrast because they're seeing people post their auditions, on their story or stuff like that. Celebrate somebody else's win, then say, why wasn't that me? Which I think probably happens quite a bit. Also, when they see, somebody in their ethnicity and their age range and their hair color on a commercial, and they're like, wait, I didn't even get that audition. Well, maybe that commercial was non-union in your SAG, and we couldn't even submit you for it. Or maybe that was an alcohol commercial and they look young, but they had to be over 25 and you're 23. Like, there's so many things that are behind the scenes that an actor might not even understand, when it comes to doing that.
And with that being said, I I think it is important for actors, especially for commercials, is to stay sharpened. So you should always be in a class, some kind of commercial workshop. You should be doing that over and over again. That's the gym.
Yeah.
You belong in the gym.
Yeah.
Just because you took a commercial class 10 years ago, things are
It,
different today.
it's a different thing. You're not
And
going to still have muscle from a weightlifting session that you had in 1995.
and that's where you should be investing your money and your time, is in classes
Yeah.
that will better prepare you for the audition.
I agree. And that's just not for commercial, that's for theatrical as well. And, and, and commercials might not be for every actor. And if it's not, don't force yourself to do it. Don't even submit to our agency. I'm not pulling, I'm not desperate for people. Like, at this point, we get 10 plus submissions every single day.
Oh,
So, like, I don't, it's fine. You don't need to self submit. I don't want people that aren't like all in for it, because I can understand the commercial world. Sometimes you get last minute auditions, self tapes that are due 12 hours later, or you have to drive across town, and it's not even like one line. It's like literally like one look, and then you're out of there in a minute. I could see that could be pretty draining to actors. But again, nobody's forcing you to do that. But on the flip side too, I had an actor recently make 30 grand off of a 1 day shoot for a commercial that ran for a year. So it's like, you can reinvest that into your TV and film class and take off 1 day of your server shift and now hang out with friends or whatever. So, like, sometimes it's also like, don't bite the hand that feeds. If it's, these commercial things can be really advantageous if you book something.
let's get into the mental welfare of
Mm.
the actor, because sometimes their mindset is off
Mm.
and you get the brunt of it.
Yeah. In
So,
more ways than one. Yeah.
how what are some things, from your vantage point, that an actor could be doing to help their mindset, so
Self awareness.
they're not anxious, they're not, irritated or frustrated or depressed or discouraged or disappearing, but that they are doing self-care to take care of themselves during the rejections.
That's more important than anything. And this year, in 2023, more than any other year, I've had more actors book out for their mental health. I'm not talking like a 5-day book out. I'm talking like 5 months book out. I had someone just email me yesterday, say, hey, I need to take August off because I just need to like reset. And I'm totally an advocate of doing that because our mental health is more important than any of this stuff. And you're going to waste your time anyways if you're frantic and anxious and depressed and you hate to do self tapes and you're like, why am I doing this? You're not going to book that job anyway. You might as well book out, be transparent, communicative with your agent. But if I don't know that those things are happening, it's I'm submitting you as usual. So you really that's where the communication really comes in. But for people like going through that, it's really kind of just to it's going to come down to diet and exercise a lot of the time. If you can eat better, just try to do better. If you can take a walk for 20 minutes every day, if you can check in on a friend or family member and get outside of yourself and try to not think about yourself so often and just have that selflessness, it's going to be a direct reflection in your business career, no matter what you do, right? So the more you can be selfless and outside of yourself and just try to stay distracted, I think is a direct investment into your own mental well-being. And I think it's going to then help your career no matter what you're doing. I think it's when you're over obsessing, over analyzing, and every audition you're so desperate to book it or do a good job. Those are the moments when it's really kind of a waste of your time, and that's just adding on to the pressure for the next thing. But it comes down to if you don't know what you don't know. So if you're just white knuckling it and just holding on for the next audition, but you're having all these emotions, but you're not necessarily equating them to your the work-life balance, well, you're not going to know that you need to take a step back and reset, or that you need to check in with your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother, or go for a walk. But all those things I think should be baseline for your mental health, you know. And everything else, it's going to be a trickle down effect if you're doing all those other core things. It was a game changer for me personally. I started boxing before I got to work. I started eating a little bit better, fasting at night, not eating at night, cutting down sugar, um, being selfless, taking phone calls from friends more often, checking in. Little things like that helped me in my business.
Okay, all of a sudden you open up a floodgates of questions for me. The first thing I want to know is, as we're coming out of the pandemic, and now we're going back into the world of auditioning in person and being more connected with people in person, what have you noticed from being locked in the pandemic where it's
Mm.
only self tapes,
Yeah.
Zoom callbacks, and now we're coming back out? Is there anything that you've noticed with actors or casting directors or just the business in general?
Gosh. Well, I'm, well, first, first of all, I don't think the self tapes are really. I think we've kind of gone a little. We've casting directors have gotten accustomed to that process. So, and let's be honest, it also is financially saves money. That of a you can see more people, and you're not paying rent at a space. I'd say only about 20% of casting directors commercially are now in person, but there's still 80% that are still taking self tapes, virtual callbacks. Um, so I don't know how long it's going to take for it to kind of even itself out back to like 80% in person, 20%. I don't know. In my personal opinion, I'm praying for that because I think there's a certain energy and personality that comes through when you're in person with somebody in that room with the client or the ad agency or the casting director or the camera guy. They just can bounce things off you. They feel you. Where I've had people that were my top bookers within the agency, COVID hit, it went to all self tapes, 90% down with their booking. Something is just not landing for them in self tapes. And also, what I've noticed firsthand, you're setting up camera, you're setting up the lights, you're setting up the backdrop for women, hair, makeup, wardrobe. This is like a 2 hour thing. I'm speaking to females because I know I witness it with my wife. Then they're like, they're a little like amped up from doing all this and a little bit nervous. And now they have to perform, right?
Yes.
Then they have to break down the backdrop, put the lights back, wipe the makeup off. And now they're pissed. So what are they going to think? It's 1 p.m. The self-tapes, let's also mention the Wi-Fi was a little spotty, so it took forever to upload on the thing. Now it's uploaded. It's 1 p.m. They've taken a breath. They've had lunch. And 4 p.m. another one comes in. And they're like, oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Excuse my language.
No,
Like,
that's okay.
now I got to do this all over again. Now, look, do I pity the actors? No, not at all. All I'm saying is that because there's benefits benefits to the self tape too. They don't have to drive 45 minutes. They don't have to pay for parking, for gas. There's certain benefits to that as well. But I'm saying emotionally, it's taken a little bit of a different toll and it translates on camera. And I'm seeing that because I do, like we mentioned before, I love data and I can see, callbacks are down, avails are down, the bookings are down. And these are for people that were like going out a lot. So I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. You did. Yeah. No, you absolutely did. I want to ask, because you are very transparent in the fact that you had a drinking problem and you went into a recovery treatment center and you were there for a few months. And
more than a few, yeah.
So it must have reset your mindset. It must have done a lot for you, not only mentally, but spiritually and emotionally. And how much of that, of all that learning that you did, do you bring into your business? Because you are the CEO of your business,
Right.
and you get uh, just as much stress and crazy stuff being one man with an assistant who has to handle 130 clients. It's not an easy task. How do you keep your mindset? You mentioned boxing, eating better, but is there something else that you do to take care of you so that you don't have a meltdown?
Yeah. I mean, that's a load. We could do another podcast just on that. Well, I'll make it short, but yes, absolutely. Whether I'm an agent or an accountant or a plumber or anything, I would need to do all these things to feel spiritually fit in the day that I'm in and take it one day at a time. I did get sober in 2008, and I spent 14 months at a very structured sober living where I learned a lot of tools, and I was introduced to the 12-step program. And just building a relationship with a higher power and spirituality and being selfless and there for my fellows. And I really was able to set the foundation of how to live just kind of a fruitful and just a full life. But with that life comes many responsibilities and stressors. It's not easy every single day. But with what I learned there, I'm able to apply just in the moment that I'm in. So I'm not far from this relationship that I have and this access kind of to another source that I feel that can then give me this sort of blind faith to go about each problem that I come about and each solution. And if I can stay present and not too far in the future, and also not relying kind of on my laurels of what I've done in the past, and if I can kind of just stay in that moment, there's solutions to every little thing that comes up. And there's no problem too big other than death, right? Everything can be ironed out if we're alive, breathing. It might be uncomfortable, whether it's a conversation or an email that I don't want to write, or an actor that I might not want to necessarily deal with at the moment, or a situation with a client. But like, these are all very manageable things. I mean, we live in California, like a beautiful place. Um, well, most people think it's beautiful.
It is
um,
beautiful.
but like, we're just so lucky, and I just try to live in that gratitude, of if I hadn't got found sobriety and done the recovery, and still do the recovery, there would be no saint for sure. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have friends. It would look a lot different. So I am very grateful for that first and foremost. But it's everything that I learned, years of AA meetings, and that original structured sober living that I can apply in my daily life. And there's just no problem too big, really. But look, it's not perfect, but you have to just continue. It's a practice, and it's a growing relationship that you need to invest in every waking moment.
You're talking about structure. You
Yeah.
mentioned it twice, and as the CEO of your business, structure is crucial
Yeah.
in order for you to have a business.
Hmm.
It is also something that's crucial for the actor, and most actors don't realize that they need structure.
Yeah.
They need to have a daily routine,
Yes.
something to keep them balanced, something to keep them focused and grateful.
Yeah.
So if you could um, encourage an actor out there with just a couple of tools that they could use to have structure in their day-to-day routine, what would that look like?
I think putting pen to paper. Now, look, I don't want to. I do not practice this all the time, so I am. This is just, I've seen this work in the past, but literally, like, journaling. At the end of the day, what do you need? What are three things that you need to accomplish the following day? What time do you feel that would be a reasonable time to get up? Would 1 extra hour of sleep be too much for you? Should we keep it at eight hours? Um, Getting a little bit of, like, fruit in you in the morning, um, and just achieving small tiny little tasks throughout the day, but acknowledging them so that you feel these little wins throughout the day, so that they build. They don't need to be, um, it's funny. Like, I heard Will. I mean, this is, you might have a different opinion of Will Smith now, but like, I had heard a great quote from him years ago that, like, he was tasked by his dad to build the walls for this, store that they owned or whatever. And it wasn't like his dad didn't say, I'm paraphrasing, build the greatest wall that you can build. It was lay the best brick that you can lay. And so when you can downsize things to that, how perfectly can I lay this one brick? After 30 days of you doing that each day, it's going to be a wall. Same thing goes, I think, with the little tasks that you can structure throughout your day as an actor. Watch a YouTube tutorial of something. Look into classes that you may be taking. Check in with a friend. Go for a walk. Go to your day job. Like, do the things that are required of you just for being a human being, and checking them off your list, and they're going to feel like little wins. It's when we procrastinate that the little voice in our head says, you're no good, you're not amounting to what you should be, you're lazy, you aren't a good husband, you're not, did should you be a talent agent anymore? Was this a mistake to do an agency on your own? These all little things come to me. So, but those only come to me when I'm not doing the other things. The louder the voices get when I'm not
You're
just
not on
doing.
your path. You're not on your purpose. You're
No,
not, yes,
it could be as
absolutely.
it could be as much as I didn't make my bed and take the trash
Right,
out.
right.
That could start my day off with, and it could trickle down into, like, these big monsters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And by you saying that, I'm not just procrastinating, but not making the decisions quickly,
right,
not too quick,
right,
but in a timely fashion.
right.
Because a lot of times actors will wait and wait and wait. Oh, I'm not sure about this, and then the opportunity has gone.
Yeah.
And to be able to um, rely and trust that you already have the ability to make the decision, so just make it.
Just start, right?
Yes, yes.
Just start. And I'd rather start and then fail than have not started and not know of whatever you're trying to accomplish. I had no idea how to run a talent agency. I was just an agent at another agency. Everybody, they had an accounting department, they had assistants, interns, they had everything. I had nothing to worry about. I just had to get our actors and our models out there, but I didn't have to deal with all the other stuff. So when I started the agency, I didn't know what I was getting into. But the biggest accomplishment, even if I've failed by now, but we're 7 years in now, but was that I started. And thankfully, if we could go under next year, at least I said, well, hey, I started, I tried.
Well, you didn't start. You not only started, but you accomplished. Because
No,
trying is not really in our vocabulary.
right. No,
You are doing it every single day. You
no.
are coming to the table with your best. Well, as one of my favorite books from Don Miguel Ruiz, which is the Four Agreements, where he
Mm,
says you do your best, knowing that your best is different some days.
mm.
If you're not at your best is not going to be
Wow.
so
Right.
high.
Yeah.
You don't take things personal.
Yeah.
I think every actor should read the book, not to take things personal. Make your word your bond. If you say something, do it. As best as you can. And if you know you're not going to be able to do it, let somebody know. Hey, I know I said I was going to show up for you, Chris, but I can't do it today. I am so
Mhm.
sorry. The quicker, the better.
Yeah.
And don't let the negatrons ruin your day or your life,
Yeah.
because those negative thoughts come to steal, kill, and destroy your vision, your
Yeah.
destiny, and your purpose. So
Mm.
it's like letting people off the hook is
Mm.
important as a human being, as an artist, as an agent. Is like to say, you know what, they had a bad day today. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give them, they had a bad day. Let's
Yeah.
keep going. But you have I want to bring it back to you, because what why I wanted to do this interview was to highlight somebody in the business who is making a difference.
Hmm.
It
Thanks.
may not feel like that some days, but you're watering and you're planting in all these actors, and you are making them better, whether they
Mm.
see it now or they don't.
Yeah.
But what you offer as an agent is gold. It's
Thanks.
gold. And so my prayer for you, Chris, is that all the planting, all the watering, all the stuff that you've been pouring into people, that you will be blessed 100-fold from it,
Oh, thank you.
because you are truly a unicorn. I,
Oh,
I just
I don't
want
know
you to
about that,
know, yeah, you are. I listen, I've been around a lot of people, and I'm
but
telling you, Chris, you got the goods. So
oh,
you really have the
flip
goods.
this.
You
I'm
you
kidding.
show up, you make your clients feel good. I Look, just the fact that you do town halls, just the fact that you care about your clients the way you do, sets you apart from a lot of agencies out here. So
Thank you.
I'm not saying this so you get bombarded with submissions tomorrow, but
It's,
but I just wanted um, to bring flowers to you. I just wanted to
oh,
give you your flowers and tell you that somebody from the outside is seeing what you do and
wow.
how you make a difference.
I
I
appreciate that.
I am so glad that you are in this business, and I hope we have more clones like you
Oh
to
man.
come on in. And my last question with that is, if if someone who's watching this, maybe they were an actor or they were, but they're curious about agenting, how available and open are you to take interns, to have people shadow you or just
Very
come in?
open.
Okay,
I mean,
fabulous.
I wish more people reached out because, well, thank you for everything you just said. Like, thank you. But I'm like, I love teaching. I don't know how much I know until I teach it to somebody. So sometimes it's kind of like reassuring. I'm like, oh yeah, I do know a little bit about this stuff that I've been doing for 13 years. But like, I don't get many people reach out. Like, I don't see many people that they're like, dream is to be an agent or a commercial agent at that. But like, I guess it wasn't mine either. I didn't know what it looked like until it kind of I still don't know what it looks like because I'm still on the journey, right? Maybe this turns into something different.
So if someone wants to contact you for a possible internship, what should they do?
I First of all, I don't get many inquiries. I wish I did. I would love if somebody wanted to kind of like let me show them the ropes as far as an internship went, as far as maybe even a one off kind of thing. They just need to email me, Chris at saintagency.com. You can also go to saintagency.com, the website, which my email is on as well. Um, and just reach out. And I'm happy to, let them come and like I said with these town halls, there's not much I hide. Like this is it. We're in my office right now. Like, um, I'm happy to share anybody. I just don't, I didn't know this is what was going to happen for my career. I didn't necessarily dream to be an agent. So maybe a lot of people don't necessarily dream to be an agent, but they're interested in like the entertainment field, the business side of it. And maybe I can add my 2 cents and help them, and that would kind of like then catapult them to another thing. But that's how it happened for me. Started as an internship in modeling, and then it turned into this thing, and who knows what it might be in 5 years. Maybe we'll be something a little different. And so I just stay open minded to it and just continue to work hard and kind of stay out of expectations. So anybody wants to reach out that's in the Los Angeles area, specifically West Hollywood, I'm happy to speak with them.
I love it. I want to just let the audience know that on Chris's Instagram,
Yeah.
if you go to the Saint Agency, Chris has a lot of Q and A's in
Yeah.
his IG.
Yeah.
So whatever questions we didn't ask, I didn't ask them specifically because he's already got them there. I
Yeah.
wanted this to be a little different than what
Sure.
he already did. But he has so much information to help you to answer your questions. And I would one more time say to you, before you submit to an agent, know what it is that you want and what you're looking for from that agent. And
Yeah.
then have your list of questions that you ask the agent so that you can get a better understanding for yourself and to help out the agent. They don't make money unless you make money. But if you come in with certain expectations that are not realistic, you're just hurting not only yourself, but you're wasting the agent's time. And as Chris said earlier, he doesn't get paid until you get paid. And it's not like he's getting a bazillion dollars when you get paid. He only gets 10%
Yeah.
of your 100%. So or 20%.
20
So
on non-union, 10
on
on
so
10 on.
so just make sure that you have done your homework, that you are well informed, know what the relationship is supposed to be between an agent and a client. They are not your therapist. They're not your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. They are a working professional who is trying to get you in the door of an audition so that you bring your talent and you book.
Yeah.
So just remember that if they send you on auditions, it is not their fault if you did not get it. It is on you, my friend. It is on you. Let's win the game. Let's not set ourselves up to lose the game, but to set ourselves up to win.
Hmm.
So I give you the last word, Chris.
Speaking of winning, I just want the actors to win. I, I don't, it's not much more complicated. It's not more complicated than that. I'm one small piece of the pie. I just want to see you guys advance following your dreams. And like I said before, I don't have all the answers, but position yourself to be the best, the most mentally fit that you can be to go out into this journey that has so much rejection and bumps in the road. It's like a roller coaster, but you got to just understand, like, and zoom out. We're very lucky to live in this area and find the gratitude in what the path that you've chosen to be an actor. Like, that's a great profession. It's one of the hardest and most difficult. But you're not like, things could be much worse, as
And
far,
it takes time.
it takes
And it takes time. You said this throughout the interview, and it bears repeating.
it,
Being
it
an
takes so much
actor
time.
is not instant. It
No,
takes time. You grow, you learn, you discover, you evolve, you
it takes a
become a
lot.
better person, hopefully, because of your journey, because of your graciousness, because of your gratitude. You become better, and because of the craft. You can't get out of a bank account what you did not put into a bank account.
Oh
You
wow, yeah,
can't expect to write a check for $1,000 if you only put 10 cents in. And
that's a
that's the
great.
same with acting. You can't expect to be a superstar when you have not invested the time, the talent, the commitment to being the best artist you can be.
Yeah.
So remember that before you put blame on anybody else, take responsibility for your part. Do your homework, do your due diligence, research the casting directors, research the producers, the directors, the writers. Find out who these people are. It's not about you. It's not a me 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 song. It's a we song. So you have to come to the table being aware, helping. Uh, you know, Something I learned from a casting director a long time ago was come to the audition to serve.
Mm.
Do not come to be served. It is not for you.
It's not
You
what you
are
can
there.
take.
Yeah, it's what can you contribute, right?
Yes.
You're contributing to a project. If it's all
Well,
about you taking, you do your own project.
if actors can, I'm sure this is can be tough to kind of realize, but like, if you're, let's say commercially, you could be on set with a 75-person crew, and I understand that you're the one being filmed, right? You're the focal point. But if you back up a little, you're one of 75 people that make this whole thing tick. You're like a cog in a watch. So serve what you are there to add value to, and don't get too, you know, up there on your horse because you're the one on the camera. But everybody's job matters. And the same thing goes for an audition. There's a lot of people's jobs at stake when you guys go in there. Um, so, take the direction of what they're asking you to do.
And get coached before you go in
Right.
there, please.
Yeah,
The best kept secret in Hollywood is that actors just appear.
yeah,
They're just magnificent, but the A-list actors get coached for everything.
right.
They
It's a
are so well prepared. And if you're just starting out, practice the art of getting coached.
mm-hmm.
Put money aside to get coached by a commercial teacher, somebody who sees what you can't see,
Yeah,
that can say, you know what, if you did it this way, it would be better. If you put this button on it, that would work.
yeah,
But or take the classes. If you can't get coached, then take the classes, so at
mm-hmm.
least you have more information. But it is on you to do your best work.
100%. I am on board with everything that you said. I completely agree. And you can I mean, they're just words, but I give it everything I got on my end. And even if I feel that I work 50%, that's all good. Even if I'm getting the 10%. But if I have to do that, I will. And as long as it means that you're going to be in a position to succeed with, when we represent you.
Thank you so much. And everybody can find you on social media at Instagram. They can
Yeah.
find you on your website at the saintagency.com.
It's
Is that
just
right?
saintagency.com. And then the
Saintagency.com.
same thing with our Instagram is just Saint Agency.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this. I know this will bless so many people. So thank you, Chris. You
So great
are
to
a
be here.
rock star.
You
I
are. You are.
love you, man.
I really love being here. Thank you. It was a great talk.
Thank you. And for you actors out there, I just want to remind you to go to actingsmarternow.com, where we have a great online course to help you with all your problems. And we also have a fantastic planner called My Acting Smarter Now Planner to help you put down your auditions, your what you talk to when you talk to your agent, what you need to bring. You're having the calendar. You also get little advice that I give you. You have an acting cheat sheet. So when you go to auditions, you got an audition cheat sheet to help you in the room. It also gives you a place where you can put your data of how many auditions you booked, who you met with, when you met with them, what was it like. So I want to empower you, just as Chris does, to be the best actor you can be and win at this game, because it's not that complicated. It really isn't. So go to acting smarter now. Go to actingsmarternow.com and get your tools to help you grow. I've been in this business for 43 years, and I put everything I had to help you because I too love actors. I'm not trying to stop anybody. I want you to win. Just like the agents and casting directors want you to win.